I was a football player my whole life. I played football at Grand Valley, and then I went into the NFL for a while. It came to an end for me in 2005. I had an identity crisis. At this point in my life, I was out drinking. I was an alcoholic. I was a cocaine abuser. I became addicted to cocaine, and that extended on into my marriage. We were in debt. I was spending a lot of money on drugs and alcohol, and I was living in the fast lane. And then our daughter came along, and during the pregnancy, we found out that she had a severe heart defect, and then possibly Down syndrome on top of that, and I started blaming God, but at the same time seeking Him, because I wanted to be a better dad. I wanted to be a better husband. I wanted to be off the bottle. I wanted to be off the drugs. I didn't know how. I didn't know the answer. A couple weeks later, I was arrested. I was pulled over. I got a DUI, and I had cocaine on me as well, so I got possession of cocaine. And it was a few weeks later, after that, I was driving in my car, and I was absolutely sobbing, bawling my eyes out. At that moment, I really just felt the presence of the Lord in the car, and I knew, and I heard Him say, pull over and call on my name right now. And I sat there and took my hands off the wheel, and I just said, Lord, I am screwing up. I want your will for my life. Whatever you want for me, I want. I can't do this anymore, and I'm giving my life over to you, and I'm done. Immediately, He met me right there. I couldn't explain it to anybody. I couldn't explain it to my wife. And I had an encounter with the Lord. I just knew that it was real. I wanted to get plugged into a local church, but I was afraid to, because I thought people were going to judge me. I was invited to a men's ministry by another uncle of mine. He told me about this guy, and he's a former bank robber, drug dealer, spent all these years in prison, and I looked at my uncle. I remember saying, really? They let a guy preach like that at church? You're on, I'll go. If there really is a guy, maybe a church like that would accept a guy like me. I came the next morning. That was the first sermon I ever heard here in Resurrection Life, and there was a scripture that I read. It was in Galatians 6, verse 7. And it just pierced my heart, and I was convicted of the life that I was living. For the first time in my life, my heart was pounding. And I remember knowing that I had to tell somebody, and I had to speak out. I called my wife. I said, we have got to go to this church. Just please come with me. And I was kind of pleading with her, will you go? And she said, okay, all right. We felt at home, we felt welcome, and we just kept coming back and kept coming back and kept coming back, and things were taking place in our life. Felt like we had a new marriage. We were just growing closer together. We were growing closer to God. Just a few months after we started attending here, Lindsay had accepted Christ in one of the services, and then our marriage really took off from there. Obviously, it's a call once you become a Christian to reach others, and in particular your own family. And so yes, I've reached out to my brother, so I asked him and invited him to come to Res, and he came. He gave an altar call. We grabbed a hold of each other's hand, and he laid his life down to the Lord right there. And then a few weeks ago, our oldest son, just asked Jesus to come into his heart. There's been a radical transformation in our life, in our family, in our extended family, and it all goes back to just one of my family members reaching out and just giving me an invitation to join him at a service, and it's changed our lives.